Welcome back to Clarets Walk. We've got proper football back, none of this international rubbish. We've got Jordan, Connor, and of course Dan back with us to run the rule over the win over Bristol City. Was it a free kick? We're also talking about just what's going on with Jaidon Anthony, how good is Lucas Pires, and just how long can this streak carry on for? We'll get the team's view on all of that. Before that, great to see you. Do drop us a quick subscribe if you haven't yet done so. 20 minutes of Burnley chat. And coming out of the ground, I'm sure you will have heard Swansea's equaliser because of the cheer that must have gone up from around the ground for that one in. Jordan, this is going to happen, isn't it? Sheffield United and Burnley are going to be the two going up.
Oh, it's has anyone seen that picture on Twitter where it's the two arms like together? That's just us in Sheffield every single season. Do you know, begrudgingly, I like it. It's kind of a tit for tat. The cheers did go up because the mood fell a little bit when it went 2-1, and we all thought, oh well, that's that. And then when everyone knew it was 2-2, it were all a different mood, a different feel. We really are in it. And if you look at it, we are joint second. So I can see Leeds falling off again. I've got Joy Division ringing in the back of my head that they've lost control again. And come on, let's crack on, boys. I mean, that were an hard-fought point. So let's go.
Absolutely. And our Sheffield United fans on their podcast say we want to go with Burnley and laugh at Leeds as they fail at Plymouth on last day of the season. Right, let's jump into the Bristol City game then. Connor, was it, first of all, let's clear up the free kick. A great free kick, of course. By the way, was it a free kick to begin with, though? Because our Bristol City lot said,
No, I think the referees made the perfect decision there, obviously. Looking through my claret and blue glasses, of course. But don't let that take anything away from the free kick. But I've not got an issue with it.
All right, let's stay with you and talk about Jaidon Anthony then, because there was a couple of tweets saying we'd have won that 5-0 had Anthony not dropped a 0 out of 10 performance. What did you make of it? What's gone wrong with him?
I think it's very harsh. I do think he's been one of our most consistent performers. I think he's earned the right to have a bad game here and there, because I do think he's on it all the time. He gives 100%, and the games he's there, he does turn up and makes a real impact. And I think all the attacking threat comes to him. So I think he should have buried a couple of chances he had, but I mean he's earned the right to have a bad game or two.
All right. Dan, we're not going to get on any players' backs this week, and we're not even going to talk about your mate at all. So let's talk about a different player, shall we? Let's talk Lucas Pires, a name we haven't really spoken much about on here, but I'll just highlight the fact that he goes underrated by many fans.
He does, and he's also changing the opinion of a lot of fans as well. Certainly, beginning of the season, his first few games, people were saying he's won a raffle to get into this team. He's rubbish. I was a Brazilian, never kicked a football before. All that kind of was getting pelters. He really was. You go online, you go on Twitter, people were saying, how's he where he is? And then when Humphreys came in and he was playing so well, people were saying, well, Pires should never kick a ball again. The last few games, however, I think he's really shown up. Since he's had to come in and deputise for Humphreys, he's injured, isn't he, I think? He's been playing a lot better. He's still prone to a mistake, a miscontrol here and there and what have you, misplaced pass. But I think certainly he seems more assured on the ball. His attacking going forward has improved dramatically. And I think there's been a couple of games where I've actually looked and thought, he's having a good game. I think he has improved quite a lot since he's come back into the team. And I think he's changed a lot of people's opinion about him.
Jordan, do you agree?
Yeah, I completely caveat what Dan said. I were one of them. I weren't a believer in Lucas. I was like, oh God, he's on team sheet again. But in the past few games, he has severely changed my opinion. And against Bristol, I thought he were absolutely fantastic. And what really sealed it for me were there were a bit of a mix in the box, and two Bristol players went to get it, and he come like steambolting through with a big high boot, took it down. Okay, nothing come from it, but it was that passion, that grit, that determination. I'm going, that's what we need from you, Lucas. He was fantastic. So long may it continue.
Okay. Good shouts. I want to talk about Marcus Edwards with you, Connor, if that's all right as well. We haven't heard, it's not been sensational in terms of assists and goals. How's he done?
Well, I certainly think he's brought a different dynamic to what we need. I think I've said that every single time we spoke about him. But I thought against Bristol, he was trying a bit too hard to look a bit flashy. There were many times in the game where he had an invitation to shoot and he'd pull out another fake shot and try and beat two men and still wouldn't shoot. And he'll get there. He's certainly got plenty of time. And there is a player in there, obviously, but he's a good addition to the team, actually. But does a bit too much at times.
All right. Let's have a look at. Well, I was going to look at some tweets. There weren't any this week. Particularly apart from this one, Drop Anthony was the main one. Jaidon Anthony dropping a 0 out of 10 saved us from a battering. But unbeaten in 26 Championship games. I mean, it's absolutely unheard of in terms of records. Dan, how longer can it go on for, though? Is it all going to end on Easter Monday when Sheffield United come to visit? Or?
No, it's going to. We talked about this when it was like 15, 19, whenever it was, and I think everyone in here said we can see us going to the end of the season. We won't necessarily win them all, but we don't see many of them beating us because they can't score. I think I saw the stats: 26 games, we've scored 30 something, we've conceded 5. Yes. I mean that doesn't get talked about enough. That defensive record is phenomenal. It's a mixture of keepers having a good season, the back line are having a great season, and then Easter Monday comes around. I mean, last 3 times we've played Sheffield United, I think the aggregate's about 23-2 or something like that to us. So we've not to worry about there. He says as we get beat, but I don't think we've much to worry about. I really genuinely, and this is going to sound arrogant, but if no one's beaten us in 26, we must have played everybody at least once in there. I don't see anybody else trying to beat us now. I mean, we've got Millwall. They're the only team who's done us in the running now, I think, isn't it? The other was Sunderland. That
was your last defeat at Millwall, wasn't it? Yeah, back in November.
Yeah, and they're the last game of the season as well. And I think Fleming might not be able to play, will he? Because he's on loan.
No, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so that could be interesting, but hopefully they'll, everything's settled by then. I don't. We make bold predictions on it. You stick your neck out. Sometimes you look foolish. Sometimes you justify that Brownhill's not a good player. But in relation to the streak, I genuinely think we'll go to the end of the season.
There's some Coventry fans, Jordan, who are all over Twitter already saying your hardest game is to come this weekend, and that actually you haven't been to the CBS this season or in a long time, and you haven't faced Lampard's Coventry. Are you having any of this, that this is potentially your toughest game? Away game anyway.
Begrudgingly, I quite liked Coventry City fans, and they're dampening the respect I've got for them. I work with a Coventry fan. He's quite down to earth about stuff, but they are. I don't know what alien planet they're living on, thinking it's going to be our toughest game. Our toughest game was Leeds, and we beat them. And then our toughest game was Sheffield United, and we beat them. And then our toughest game was Sunderland, and they couldn't even get past our back four. So what my issue is with that is, it's all right hyping yourself up, but you'll just look silly in the end. I'm sure they were going to say that to Sheffield United, and then they got turned over 3-1. Now you can look at our goals and say, well, we haven't got it in us to score. We do on our day, but you have to be on your top form to even think about breaking that defence. So I think their hardest game is to come. That's what I'd reply with that.
Okay. I don't know if any of you heard Sean Dyche's interview on TalkSport last weekend talking about Vincent Kompany. There's some Burnley fans that retweeted that saying it was disrespectful and, he shouldn't really talk like that. I don't know. Any of you can chip in here. It's not a direct question to only one of you. What was your opinions of it? Does it sour? Did Dyche come across as sour and bitter like some other fans have suggested?
I don't think he showered himself in glory. He started making outlandish claims that he brought £1 billion into the turf. That may well be the case. You've had however many years in the Premier League, you get 100-odd million a year plus sales, plus this, that, the other. But then to turn around and say that Kompany leaves us £100-odd million in debt and then gets the buy-in job, I wish I could do that. Well, the circumstances were remarkably different. Kompany came in, he was given the freedom to spend a lot of money. And in fairness to Kompany, you see what he paid for those players and then what we've subsequently sold them for. As a business model, his was much better than Dyche's. Dyche's was get bargain basement players for bargain basement money and try and run them to death. Whereas with Kompany, he got rough diamonds and polished them and made them and progressed them better. So I think I get his point, I get his frustration, but I just think on this occasion, I love Dyche. I'd hardly say a word against him, but I think maybe he was just a little bit sour. That was my take on it anyway.
My take's a polar opposite. And now I completely stuck up for. I know it just seems like I argue with you every week, Dan. It's not that, man. It's not that. No, it's completely opposite. Now I can see his frustration because somebody that has absolutely championed us for the best part of 10 years, dragged us up the table, if you will, on absolute pittance, and then he's watching somebody whose only job has really been with Anderlecht, and then he walks in, he spends over 100 million. Doesn't really do a touch of what Dyche did in the Premier League on absolute pittance. I can see why his frustration would be there. And he showed a lot of loyalty to us, but they showed very little to him. You've got to think they were only in 18 months until they wanted to fire him off. He did 10 years with us, on nothing. He made up, like he said, it were all right for them to walk away with the 10 millions. I think he's referring to Barry Kilby because he was our last owner. But he has made them the money, and he has made it. But there were never a backing, not from Kilby, not from ALK. So I can see his frustration. If they'd have given him 12 months and given him a financial backing the same way they back Kompany, and it'd have been like like just standard, like maybe a 16th place, 17th place fighting relegation. I don't really think he'd have room to grumble. But they never ever give him the opportunity. And then when he went to Everton, you saw what he did, with the better caliber of player. I mean, you had a 4-point deduction, everything like that, and he worked absolute miracles. So I think a lot more respect needs putting on Sean Dyche's name.
I agree.
Do you think Dyche would have signed players like Zaruri, Benson, Teller? Would he they don't fit his mould?
No, I don't. No, I don't think he would have signed players like that. But I do think he'd have his own mould. So, for example, I'd caveat that with, would Brian Clough have signed as a Ruri or a Teller? No, he wouldn't. But he brought in his type of mould of a player and made him. Maybe they weren't world beaters, but they were well drilled within what they knew. So I think Sean Dyche should have caveated that more, seeing the fact he did play under Clough.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get your point, and we're not going to agree on this, but I just think that we're arguing about two very different types and styles of play. I think one was more productive in the Premier League, which is Dyche's, and I think one is more profitable in the Premier League with better players. And I think if you play like he's showing at Bayern now, he's got top level players. He's playing the same style of football. He's crushing the German league. He's in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. No, I mean, it's not like I'm sticking up for Kompany. He did leave us, and he sold us down the river. But I just think Dyche, I don't agree. I think he hasn't tarnished his legacy. I don't think he ever could. But I just think, in my opinion, I thought it was being a bit bitter.
Okay. No, I think he has a right. Just really quickly, I know we need to move. I think he has a right to be bitter because everyone's treating him now like a glorified Sam Allardyce, and he certainly isn't that.
Okay, no. Having watched Dyche and Allardyce football, as an Everton fan, I can guarantee you, give me Sean Dyche over any Allardyce football ever. Right, good debate that. Thank you. Let us know in the comments what you think as well. Who's right, Jordan, Dan, or sitting on the fence? We're also talking about the Fair Play League this week because there's some allegations from some that perhaps Burnley aren't the Burnley of old. We used to be the nasty old Burnley that put a foot in and pick up yellow cards here and there. Here's the Fair Play League table. Much that you could care about it or not. Leeds actually sit top of it. Has been the cleanest playing side, but there you are in 8th. 66 yellow cards, just the 2 red, of course. Are you surprised by that, Connor?
No, I think it's just standard, to be honest. I've not really got much to say. I think it's a big surprise that Leeds are the cleanest team, considering they are dirty scum, but we'll slide past that. I think Burnley are in an average place.
Yeah. It's like, shouldn't it? Bang, bang.
Yeah.
I've not much to say. Leeds are scum.
Watching. Yeah, Leeds fans are watching. Jordan, does that surprise you?
It don't surprise me with us because, I mean, if you look at our team sheet, there's 2 players who were like guaranteed yellow, and that's Cullen and Brownhill. Could you chuck Hannibal in there? Yeah, of course you could. I am shocked with Leeds, though. I thought they were, I think they have a better caliber of player to feel the need to, conjure so many yellows and reds. So yeah, no, that's quite shocking. I thought up there might have been a Millwall or a Preston, because Preston are, Jesus, they are dirty.
Preston are the dirtiest side. Yeah, the other half of that table was Preston right up there. You have got one player down in the top 20 dirty players of the division. Do you have a guess who that might be from your side?
I would gotta say it's Hannibal, isn't it?
But it definitely is Hannibal. Yeah, absolutely.
Is he?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that one. Yeah, there he is. Yeah, 14th dirtiest player. 6 yellow cards from the 30 games that he's played. That he's played so far. But yeah, he's the only one in the top 30 of your players, which sounds very un-Burnley-like to me, doesn't it? Well, for me anyway, of the Burnley of old. I always think of Burnley as an ankle-snapping side who, like to play the dark arts a bit. But is Scotty P making you a nicer side, Dan?
He is, the way he plays it, he doesn't, in the days of old, the Burnley of old, like you say, we used to just go in blood and thunder, backs against the wall, defend for your lives, and see what happens. And during that, you used to kick out of the opposition. That's how we used to do it. Whereas with Scotty P, he is trying to do a bit of a hybrid of the two styles from the two managers we've just debated. He's got that solidity that Dyche has under him, but he's also trying to play that possession football. So we don't need to go in lunging challenges and doing this, that, the other. I think if you look at the yellow cards that Hannibal got, I anticipate most of them are just for being petulant or dissent or not necessarily dissent, but just acting out. They're not probably going to be for dirty challenges. So yeah, we have changed the DNA of the club and the way in which we play football. And I think I'm surprised we're actually as high as we are, top 8. I thought we'd picked up a few more than that, but yeah, he's changing it. Hopefully, he's changing the perception.
Yeah, certainly is. Thanks for all of you. Coventry and Derby next, then, Connor. How many points you expect from these, and any team changes? Does it need a refresh, given that there's going to be 2 games in 4 days next week?
I mean, I'd keep the team relatively same, because why change a winning team? But again, fitness as well. So make the odd change here and there for the ones that need it. For the points, I mean, John Eustace is making some sort of ex-Burnley 11 because they signed Eric Peters recently, and you just know they're going to score against us, aren't they? Like Jeff Hendrick and Eric Peters linking up, and they've got momentum, to be fair, because they're 22nd now, are they? Tied on points, whatever. So it's going to be tough, but I can see us picking up another 6.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, John Eustace obviously tried to get the best of you as a Blackburn manager, Jordan, but now he's the Derby manager. Do you expect this to be a typical John Eustace type battle, or do you think you can put 3 past him?
John Eustace as a manager, quite controversially, doesn't. I don't think right much of him. I know people like, he's really. I don't think he is. When I watch Blackburn come to Burnley, that less of the swear word, it's BPG. I didn't think he was that impressive. I think he had a very dirty team. There didn't seem to be much progress up the pitch. He's gone up in my estimation because he's left them, but his Derby really much, is it more of a step forward? And it's going to pay me to say, but I don't think it is. So I can't see him bringing any more of a challenge than what Blackburn brought at the start of the season against a very weakened side. So now we're well drilled within what we do. If he's going to come and play the same way and just put a low block on, are we going to be more susceptible to that? As Scotty P's seen something from that game that he could use in this game? I think it's all about tactics now, because I think he's going to come with a low block and just put 11 men behind the ball.
Okay. You must have enjoyed this weekend, Dan. Well, about all of you, with Preston exiting the FA Cup and Blackburn now on a five game winless run with their new manager. You're not enjoying this one, but I'm sure.
I'm going to say, and with tying in with the last minute equaliser over at Ellen Road as well, it was a great weekend. It was just soured by Friday night.
That's right.
But yeah, no, it was great results all around. I mean, this new guy over at Blackburn's working miracles. I think if Eustace wants to throw 2 fingers up at the Rovers fans who give him so much death, he'd lie down against us just for laugh. And then we'll see how it goes. But yeah, as footballing results go, it was great. I think even Melier must be a claret, because the way he was chucking them balls into his own net, it was unbelievable. Just we waved one in and then threw the other one at the other. It was like, what's he playing at here? Has he got a bet on?
He really is god awful, that lad, isn't he? I don't know who he's.
Someone needs to be checking his betting patterns because what he's doing is just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, physically froze him in his own net, doesn't he?
Right. Before we leave that suite, do drop us a quick subscribe and a like as well. We're obviously trying to get up to our next marker, which would be fantastic when we get there. Massive thank you for helping us get to 300 subscribers this week, which is phenomenal. So we salute all of you for all your support. Absolutely massive. To say it's been going sort of 8 months as well is huge. Finally, we're talking club versus country, and I'm fascinated with which way this debate is going to go because it's split our other panels. So we're giving you the choice of in your lifetime to either see one of these events, and it's England winning the World Cup or it's Burnley winning a major trophy, whether that be the Premier League or the FA Cup. Jordan, you can only have one in your lifetime.
Come on, this is easy. Premier League, Burnley, and then they have nothing over us then. Absolutely zero, nothing, gone. I'm taking Premier League, Burnley, short and sweet.
Okay, but you go to the grave without seeing England win anything?
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I like England. I like England. It's making I don't mind. No, I love watching England. Don't get me wrong, but there's just something about Burnley and not the tribalism, but it's where I come from. It's where I was born. It's where I was raised. There's just something really special about that, and it stops the horse fiddlers getting out over us.
God, Anna.
I mean, I have this debate many times with many people, and I know a couple of people I do say country over club, but I just don't see how you could do that because your club is where you're from. It's a lot more specialty. It's a lot more personal. And if you didn't understand my answer from that, it's Burnley win any sort of major trophy, whether that's a League Cup or whether it's Papa John's trophy, just anything, please, just anything.
You'd rather see Burnley win the Papa John's trophy than England win the World Cup.
Yeah,
that's a strength of feeling. Brilliant. Okay,
I
Dan, you're a little bit older.
If you got the choice.
Come on,
well, obviously,
Dan.
yeah.
As somebody who, no disrespect, has got less time on this earth than these two probably. Surely you're going to put country first.
I think no. I think I have to stick with the boys on this one. I think it would be the bigger miracle to see Burnley win a major trophy, whether that be an FA Cup or Carabao Cup. Not necessarily Papa John's, but also or a Premier League. I just think that is so. With as much as we're all die-hard Clarets here and what have you, we've got realism in us as well. For us to get anywhere near any of those is going to be a miracle. Whereas with England, they're on the cusp of it, and I think that will happen. So if you were saying go die and see England win a World Cup or die and see Burnley win the Premier League, I have to stick with the boys on this one. It's got to be Burnley. I just think it would beat anything that anyone's ever done. Better than Leicester, better than anything. But I think that's how long a shot it is.
Brilliant. Okay, it's weird how there's such a north-south split on this question from our other groups. Northerners have put club first, whereas the southern teams have gone for England.
Because they're all fly-by-night fans. They'll support anybody. I'm Arsenal today. I'm Arsenal. I'm Chelsea.
No. It's because we're retard up north, and we all know
that's
that.
Right. Yeah. proper footballers, isn't it? Yeah.
They've all got second teams. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm Millwall, but I'm also Chelsea or whatever.
Right, none of that nonsense up here. Right, thanks so much, you three. Thank you very much for joining us. Next week, of course, we're talking about the away trips to Coventry and look ahead to Derby as well. We're also talking about the best goal that we've scored this season next week as well as we count down the top 3 goals. So bring that with you next week. See you then. Have a great week. Thanks for joining us.